This is how you do it. Yeah. Flamethrower, look at that.
What's poppin', people? As I watch Potato Joe burn his fucking cigar.
Into pieces of that flamethrower I got.
What's poppin', people? It's your boy Loco Lou. Another episode of Cigars and Ash. And you know I can't do this by myself because I never do it by myself. This is a team effort. So, to my left,
Keith Adventures.
But then I did have potatoes yesterday. You know that was pretty good too, man. Some sour cream and a
Hey,
little bit
yo,
of
Joe.
onion greens on it, man.
So some spuds and cream?
Yes,
Okay.
sounds delicious. I don't care how you say, even sexually, it sounds delicious. It's yummy.
You know what else is delicious? These cigars.
these cigars. Yeah, for
So
facts.
let's talk about these cigars that we're doing a variety pack today.
Yeah, so these cigars, there's no sponsorship, but they come from my cigars of the month from my cigar pack, which they would do a good job sending stuff out. So what we have here is 3 different cigars from Toro Fuente. We got with Loco Lou smoking an Arturo Fuente King T Rosado. It's a pretty big cigar.
And it's spicy.
It's a 7-inch 49 ring gauge cigar. It's a Dominican binder and filler. Yep. And the profile is spicy pepper, honey, and a little bit of sweetness.
Yeah, this is nice. I like this.
It's handmade, and it has a 93-point rating from Cigar Aficionado. If people remember, they give points to cigars. Depending on how good it is, 93 is good.
Yeah, and came in with a burgundy band at the end of it with aluminum casing, which is nice. I like that. That's always good, so that way you don't bend or break your cigar while it's in your pocket, which is nice.
Yeah, you don't want to bend your stick.
You know,
Nah, man, let the girls do that.
hurts. No, that hurts. You like it bent? That's weird. For Keith, we have Toro Fuente Work of Art Natural. It's a medium cigar. It's a 4 7/8 inch, 60 ring gauge cigar. It's one of the largest rings that they have. It says it's also Dominican binder and filler. It has a blend of cedar, coffee, citrus, and some sweetness. Again, handcrafted in DR. And it has a 95-point rating, one of the highest ratings for the cigars.
95. Good.
Leave it to Keith to grab the higher rating always.
higher rating.
And this is accidental.
Right.
Yeah, sure. Now he knew.
I just gravitate towards it.
He was like, I want the
don't
most delicious cigar. It's
you
mine.
know, I just, it just happens. It's like,
And I'm having, Joe, I'm having Arturo Fuente's Don Carlos No. 2. It's a 6-inch, 55 ring gauge cigar. It has notes of vanilla, cream, floral undertones, and it's a limited release cigar. Again, handmade at DR. It's a 94-point rating cigar from Cigar Aficionado. So those cigars we're having today, 3 different ones, 3 different sizes, and 3 different flavor profiles.
yep.
And there's 3 different styles.
That's what?
Yep, 3 different styles. That's right. So you said sizes, styles.
Yeah, because that's right. Mine and Keith's are torpedo.
That's right.
Yeah, you guys have torpedoes, and
Yeah, with Churchill.
I have a Churchill.
Churchill usually is 7 inches or 6 inches or more.
How did you know? How did you know Churchill was that big?
I mean, listen.
Hey, that's how
He
the,
walked with a limp. I read it in a history book.
Well,
He only had one leg,
And he still walked with a limp.
but he wore 2 shoes. You figured that one out.
The rumor is where he stuck his cigar had to go that far and then pull it back out so he could enjoy it a little longer.
So, so that's why he
Yeah.
figured what type of cigars he wants. A little deeper.
A little deeper.
Yeah, I heard it because from what they say, like he was he was great what he did for the war, but that he was a total dick though. That's what I heard.
Hey, listen, sometimes you have to be a dick to win
To take
war.
a dick. Well, wait. I mean, to win a war.
win a
Yes.
war.
Yeah.
You have to be addicted to win a war. Yep.
And take a dick.
Like,
be a dick to a dick.
I only knew the reference from the movie, like most people,
Mm-hmm.
but George S. Patton.
I'm trying to smoke it.
So I'm gonna, the whole thing, when you visualize it, most people visualize him because of the movie, but he really didn't look like that. But the movie was for me classic. And you know the story about him going around smacking his soldiers.
Yeah.
He's like, I don't want any cowards in my.
Yeah, smack.
You know, people that were like shell shocked, and he was like, I don't want their cowardice rubbing off on these good men that sacrificed. Get them out of here. Get them out.
Yeah, man, cult classics. Speaking about movies, some of us thought it was an April Fool's joke. We lost
A Batman.
a Batman,
Yeah, our second
Iceman,
A Saint.
Batman.
a Saint.
A singer who turned into a spy in Europe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Val Kilmer, 65,
65 years old.
and passed away on April 1st.
And battle with throat cancer.
Yeah, and you know, granted, we're smoking cigars and
Not intentionally.
That is
not intentionally, but you know, still go get checked out. Always get checked out. Always check yourself out. But you know, R.I.P. to Val Kilmer. Thank you for everything that you have given us, entertainment wise, and you will be missed. You will.
Oh
be
man,
missed.
he was a great villain in MacGruber.
Yes.
Oh shit! I forgot about
The
that.
way
MacGruber.
the way his character died in that movie was hilarious. It's awesome. He's such a good job, man. He had a range of acting because he could do comedies and serious stuff.
Yeah.
So he was in a movie. A lot of people.
Oh, don't forget Willow.
Willow, yeah.
Right. He was in Mission to Mars with
Mission,
Ice Cube.
Yes, Mission to Mars was dope.
Which is, most people don't watch. I actually like him in a lot of movies. Everybody talks about Heat and Batman, obviously. The Saint.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Was
Heat.
awesome. The thing about Heat, this is kind of an internet fact. Most people in the military talk about it, and it's on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
People watch the gunfight scene in Heat and use that for training in the military.
Really?
They legit use that for
Training sessions.
reference, right? Because the way everybody on that team in the movie had went through weapons training. It's like what Keanu Reeves does now,
Yeah, for John Wick.
right? But the way when we say cycle a weapon is load, unload, reload, right? With the magazine swap. It was so perfect and so fast. It was like, there's no way he's doing it that fast. And they actually used it in a couple of units, military units, to train them.
Wow. Wow, that's deep, man.
Yeah, I forgot he was in Tombstone.
Tombstone. Oh yeah,
Come
dude,
on,
he had the awesome mustache, bro. Come on.
That's right. No, I said I forgot. I remember.
Like
Now?
is let's be honest. Because technology is pushing us forward into the future, we're losing a lot of appeal to certain things that happened in the past, such as the sword and sorcery. Right? Granted, we got Dungeons and Dragons, but it was more of a comedy, and not so many people, enjoyed it. But
that's crazy because that was a good movie.
yeah, and it's very cringy because it was a good movie. But then, we don't have that many Westerns, right? But there was a series on Netflix that seemed to hit that sweet spot of Westerns that's kind of classic, kind of not, but it's more of Americans settling into America, and then you got Native Americans with treaties between people taking the land and then, squatting in that area and all that other stuff. And it's crazy because I'm only on episode 3 and it's savage.
What was it?
It's savage. Oh, I'll show you. It's on Netflix. But we don't get a
because westerns. You know how Quentin Tarantino
yeah.
went ahead and did two westerns because a western. Sorry,
Weston?
a western.
A Western.
I said two, but no one's not really a western. But he made a western movie because he wanted to make it. Was the Hateful Eight?
Hateful Eight? Yeah, something like that. I think it was for Hateful Eight. Let me see.
Yeah, Hateful Eight. Where they had that 4-hour extended cut one.
American Primeville. American Primeville.
Oh,
Yeah, American Primeville.
okay.
So that one, it's it's dark, it's gritty. It's not the glamorified westerns that we grew up watching, like with Clint Eastwood and
the ugly
yeah,
Hondo.
Hondo. Fistful of dollars.
Fistful of Dollars. What was it? Preacher. So
Spaghetti westerns.
Because it's like those are like movies of their time, like 50s were spaghetti westerns,
yeah. So
I mean, you had we just had the early 2000s with the surge of horror zombie movies. That was a time for horror zombie movies.
yeah.
Oh yeah, they Hollywood kind of gets a niche and goes with it. Like for a while there was disaster movies.
Disaster movies.
Oh
in the 90s,
yes, like Final Destination and shit like that.
Yeah.
Twister.
Volcano, Dante's Peak,
Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah, those kinds of things. And then there was like Lake Placid and Anaconda was like a monster.
Was that
The monster
animal
Animal monster, animal terror movies.
Yeah.
Yeah, that fall in line with like Bigfoot and stuff like
Yeah.
that. Cryptics.
It's a niche they run with for a while, and then it changes every single time.
Yeah. So now we're in the age of superheroes, and we
a
get a lot
while.
of that for a couple of decades because
Because it was just written well, and it's a story.
it's a story,
ongoing story.
flushed out with so many characters.
Well, and I also think it's because of the source material and it already has a long history. There's a lot to derive from, because all those other ones, like you had to think of it, you have to write it, produce it, so on. Like you literally with comic movies or geek culture movies. No, I'm not just gonna say comics because it's like graphic novels and things like that. But it's like your screenplay is almost already storyboarded because hey, just pick up volume 3 of whatever.
Exactly.
And it's like let's play off of this.
Storyboard is already played out.
Yeah.
The storyboard's played out. We still have to write the lines, just talk about it. That's all part of the story. But you could always ask.
And even some
our
of the
editor.
and even some of the titles will be taken and they'll be switched around for something completely different.
Because we had let me see, we had at the time of these animal horror movies, we also had sports movies.
Oh yes, we had the
Freaking
what was it? Major Leaguer?
Major Leagues.
Major League.
I actually just watched
The Ringer?
other day.
Yeah. Well, Ringer. I think Ringer's the Ring. Which one? The Ringer.
The whatchamacallit, the baseball one.
With Johnny Nashville. You're talking about.
Yeah, but that's more in the 2000s. Like
Right.
in the 90s, it was like
yeah.
90s, it was
What,
Angels in the Outfield,
Angels in the
Major
Outfield.
League,
Sandlot.
Major League, Sandlot.
The Natural.
Yeah, The Natural.
A League of Their Own.
League of Their Own. The whole if you built it,
You
Field of
Built It,
Dreams.
Field of Dreams.
Field
Yeah.
of Dreams.
What's his name with the kid with the arm?
Oh,
Rookie of the Year.
Rookie of the Year.
Then you have wrestling. Not too much of it, but you had some of it. No holds barred. Hulk Hogan.
Oh, Hulk Hogan. Right. That's when wrestlers started going into movies.
Yeah, but they had a couple of wrestling ones.
Ready to Rumble.
Ready to Rumble was one of them.
what's his name?
but that was like 2000s too.
Yeah.
But still, it was
but we still
bleeding
have
in.
We
have the area of we have that in between genre of sports. You have the basketball one, which is Love and Basketball.
Joanna Man.
Joanna Man.
Yeah, Joanna Man.
That movie would be banned if it came out this.
No, it'll win an Academy Award.
It will win an award, bro.
It'll be banned.
It will win an award. It will be so cringe.
There will be an executive order banning that movie. I'm sorry. It's low hanging fruit, dude. I had to.
Joanna Man?
Yeah, literally
Low-hanging
and figuratively. That's why I said it that way.
Yeah.
It was low hanging. I had to reach for it, man.
Yeah, but it's also considered black comedy because of the premise. But
Yeah.
dude, shoot, Space Jam.
But you know
Space
what?
Jam, remember the Titans.
And,
Friday Night Lights.
Speak
Friday Night
about quick sidebar.
Varsity Blues.
Yeah,
Varsity Blues.
quick sidebar. And speak about Space Jam. Well, me and Joey was talking about it last week. Warner Brothers. They're vaulting the cartoons, bro.
Not even vaulting. They're selling them off.
Yeah.
They sold off. They sold off
the new Looney Tunes movie. They're being created by somebody else.
Well, Warner Brothers is under DC, isn't it?
No,
Or
it's the other way around.
DC is under Warner Brothers.
Yeah.
I mean, they haven't come out with anything in a while. And
you know that Coyote movie that they shelved?
Right.
They sold it to Catch Up Entertainment, so that it's gonna be released under different company.
Okay, yeah.
And they also sold the
Wile E. Coyote versus Acme, which is
Yeah.
gonna be like a court drama movie, him suing Acme for all his failed attempts.
Yeah.
Which I think is hilarious.
That's hilarious.
I want to see it.
Yeah, but the whole point is that they're selling off their cartoon
Their
property,
IP,
bro.
yeah.
They and like you said, they voted the cartoons. They're off any streaming.
Yeah,
They took them off any streaming. All that. They just I don't know what they're doing.
which is bringing up something that I'm going to bring up, because with a lot of the movies that we're mentioning within that time frame, from the sports, the horror, even some of these B-list and C-list movies, you can't find them in streaming. You have to get hard copies.
Yeah.
So we always advertise to get the original hard copy. Physical media is very important to get. Physical media. Digital media is not gonna take us too far into the future, because all you need is a power outage, and you ain't gonna have the data there, because it's gonna get corrupted some way, somehow. Something's gonna happen.
Yeah, it makes me wish I still had my CD binder board filled with movies.
Oh, dude, I
I
have the towers.
I have a bin full of movies. All of the Marvel movies from 2008 on, all that stuff. I have all that in there. I mean, I got the Mel Brooks set.
Oh, nice.
All
Yeah,
his
'cause
movies,
there was something I was looking for the other day, and it was
which I'm not to read.
it was it was a 90s, late 90s movie, and it wasn't on anything, and it's like it depends on the studio. And I think, which I always find weird, because I see some recently, I've seen some that are like from MGM.
Yeah.
I didn't even know MGM had their own streaming service.
MGM Plus, yeah.
So I'm like, all the ones on MGM are like, sorry, you can't find it. You gotta, you have to. It's a completely other streaming service.
Mm-hmm.
I'm about to start hitting up all the secondhand stores and the dollar bins and just rack up some more
Flea markets.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I'm telling you, man. Like, I'm glad I got a couple of movies that I have still in bins. Like my Ninja Turtle collection. I got my Deadpool collection. I have the Last Dragon and all my Bruce Lee stuff. I have a whole box set full of Bruce Lee stuff, from Chinese Connection to Game of Death 3.
Yeah, I got the Bruce Lee movies too. My dad.
Got
the Rocky movies.
Rocky movies, exactly, the collection. You can't go wrong with that. And Rambo, so on and so forth. When it comes to like Chuck Norris movies and shoot.
That don't have.
Yeah, dude, I got a lot. Like movie buff, bro. I got.
You got Sidekick?
Sidekick? I think I do. I think I got Sidekick. Yo, if anybody's into tournament, and that's another thing. When karate was big, with Karate Kid and all that, we got Sidekick. There was a lot
Three
of
Ninjas,
Sidekick,
Surf
Surf Ninjas, Beverly Hills Ninja with Chris Farley. You had all the Jean-Claude Van Damme stuff. You had Bloodsport,
American Ninja.
Oh my God, American Ninja.
Yeah, dude. So that's see.
Every Halloween. What do you want to be for Halloween?
A ninja.
A ninja. That's it. We kept one costume. We just kept rotating in the family.
You're all ninjas this year.
Everybody.
Shit. But
I want to be ninja.
Yeah, so we basically.
If you get it, you get it.
Yeah, we're movie buffs, man, and the next film we're gonna go see is Thunderbolts.
Thunderbolts.
And
in May.
In May, with May 2nd,
and then there's a May movie coming out as well, a re-release. Kevin Smith getting the property back from Weinstein.
Yes.
The 25th anniversary. Oh, no,
The 20. Yeah,
it's 25th.
25th.
Right?
And then it's so May. What is it? Let me see. When's that?
Yes.
I think it's May 14th or 16th.
I thought it was the 15th.
Dogma, baby.
Mm-hmm.
You're right. The 15th. He's doing it at his movie theater.
Okay, he's doing it at Spotcast.
Yeah,
you know why?
Castle Theaters. And the thing is, tickets $50.
$50. Yeah.
But I was talking to Zach, and we might go.
Yes.
So I don't know if you guys want to go. You have to let me know.
I got days, baby. I got days.
Because we could buy the tickets, but there's no guarantee. I have to take that day off because I probably go down there early to hold our spot in line. because they don't have
Assigned seats.
assigned seats. It's like an old school movie theater.
Ooh.
So
So,
I'm probably
dude,
taking a day off.
I'm taking a day. I'll take a day, bro. $50, and I'm gonna see Dogma for the first time. Remember,
Jesus,
What?
man.
I'm gonna see if it's the only
You should
film
pay-
I have not seen.
You should pay $100 then.
Fuck you.
No, hold on. $100 gets you a meet and greet with Kevin Smith.
Ooh.
On top of that,
you
so
go.
that's what I'm trying to say. Maybe you should do that and tell them that you haven't seen. This is the first time.
This is
you've
the
seen
first time
Dogma.
I've seen
My
Dogma.
First time seeing Dogma.
I've seen everything else that you've created and been in and started, and I'll tell you right now, this is the only one I have not seen. It just went over like, whoo. Yeah, like, dude, that'll be dope. That'll be dope. And then I'll put another plug in for our editor.
Listen, there's a lot of things that run through my head when I think
Go, Zach.
about Dogma, but Candy Girl, oh my world. Trust me,
They took a dollar.
another dollar.
And then they go pull 20 with it.
Yeah,
Pulls out a whole bunch of hundreds.
Salma
'Cause she's
Hayek,
Muse.
Oh my God. Ugh.
Salma Hayek as Muse.
Hey, they gave it a free show.
Shit.
And then they got that too.
They got
Oh,
that too.
yeah. That's right. No, let's not ruin it. He hasn't seen it.
I hadn't seen it. Listen,
He hasn't seen it. I'm not gonna ruin it.
Like I know the song, but damn, the way you guys are mentioning it, I'm like, okay, not a spoiler, but an event that happened. I'm like, okay, I can see that. I can see that happen.
It's not a spoiler.
When you see it, it'll click for you. You'll understand.
$5, my man. Put that shit in my hand.
If
But
that money
doesn't
doesn't
show,
show, then you owe me, owe me, owe me. Yeah, what? Jungle Love. Oh, I'm sorry. Just keep going. I know that. Do that every
Wrong movie, but still.
Yeah,
it
but
is
you
wrong
get
movie.
like I could picture it. It falls in line with the same joke. So there's like several money jokes you could make a small clip of.
Because you have Ben Affleck is in it,
Yeah.
and so is Matt Damon
My Damon.
is in it, and they play angels.
Mm.
And George Carlin is in it. And he
George.
plays the cardinal.
Oh God. Okay, so I have to
Of a
see it. I
church.
have to see it. I have
Yeah.
to see it. I have to see it. I have to see it. So,
Can't believe you went 25 years without seeing that movie.
dude, there's a lot of movies I haven't seen. I'm a movie buff, but there's movies that I missed out on because there's so much was coming out between that, watching wrestling throughout the years because I was part of the Attitude Era, and the merger between WCW and WWE.
Look,
I watched a lot of stuff, and then on top of that, my work schedule was all shit. I had 3 jobs, bro. No time for nothing, and then when I did have something, I'm like, okay, I'm watching this.
it's like you live in color. Are you Jamaican?
Dude,
I got 3 jobs.
man.
Dude, I had 3 jobs. I had to, fulfill the hobby and my habits. 'Cause the hobby makes me happy, and the habits is just shit that I did.
Yeah, so that movie's coming up. But yes, we got to go see Thunderbolts in May.
Yeah, Thunderbolts
And then
and that.
July, we're going to see the Fantastic Four.
Fantastic Four. That
Fantastic Four.
dude.
I'm more excited for that than I am for Thunderbolts, surprisingly enough.
Me too, because it looks like a palate cleanser. It's completely different. It separates us from everything else. But I'm more intrigued to see how they're going to do Sentry because I seen the figure, how it looks. The suit looks beautiful.
Oh, for Thunderbolts.
Yeah, for Sentry.
Okay. No, because I feel Fantastic Four more excited for is because there's been 2 iterations of the Fantastic Four, and it's something we've been like, we need them to get it right. It's something they need to get right.
Well,
Is it two? Is it 2 Yeah.
2 iterations, yeah.
I don't really
got the one
count
with-
Fantastic Four shtick.
Well, if you want to be honest, there was 3.
Yes, because the
one
one that
in
was
the
in-
90s
Yeah,
that I
that was
never
my
viewed.
movie with the bad CGI and all that. Back
Well, no,
early.
the early '90s one was the practical effects.
Yo, but when you see the
they
backstage
never
CGI.
actually released it.
They
No.
never actually released.
So,
never actually released.
Thank you to the wonders of the internet.
We had found it.
We found it.
And we had a movie night.
It was, you know what? And not for nothing, like you compare that one to the one coming out, like
It's almost the same.
It's almost accurate. It's almost. No, I'm
So they
saying
almost had it right back in the 90s.
They
Yeah, they
almost had it
did.
right because
It's just that the suits didn't translate well.
Yeah.
If the suits were different, they would love it. They would love it because that's the problem with a lot of the comic book stuff. They couldn't make things believable in reality. Though also depending on what you're talking about, because if you look at the 70s series like Spider-Man, Hulk, Captain America, you know, basically old Kamen Rider stuff. You know what I mean? Like a guy in a motorcycle suit, you know, kicking ass, and the guy, you know, that's not, you know, this actor.
Cat Shield was,
That's not Bill Bixby. That's not Bill Bixby. That's Lou Ferrigno.
Yeah.
That's two different people.
Yeah. It's, you know, for the Fantastic Four, like I see where you say it's kind of a palate cleanser, but like what I'm, you know, I know it's gonna be a stretch, you know, no pun intended, you know, but
I can't remember which one it was.
I don't remember which one it is.
B.
No.
There
D.
you go. There you go. But you know, I'm excited to see how they're gonna pull it off to tie it into everything else. Are they gonna leave it? You know, like the writing, the actual screenplay, and the writing, the way the movie plays out. I'm excited to see if they're gonna leave it in a cliffhanger, or if it's gonna somehow tie up a bunch of loose strings that we've been missing out on, like, or if it's gonna plant new seeds for something else.
I mean, you think like the fact that he showed the bridge that he's supposed to be building. You think the concept of it? Yeah. You think that's gonna come to play? I mean, that's a way that they'll get to the main universe. I mean, I'm guessing.
Well, it's a way to get to the main universe, but you know,
unless, like you said, they get lost in between universes and then end up back in the,
it's gonna be
present. But then no one remembers who Reed is.
Well, no, but,
or Fantastic Four, no one's gonna remember them.
So it's a split. I'm gonna tell you the two ways that it might go. That I think it might go. Number one is a dimension split, like so they just end up in another dimension where they didn't exist, and they're like, oh, we're the Fantastic Four, and they're like, we never heard of you. Or it's a time split where like they were so far removed in terms of the, you know, the psyche of everyone that they don't remember who they are. So it's like they're new anyway.
Okay. Well, because I mean, this, you know, the 60s is when they're
but this is futuristic 60s. This is like, you know,
that's what I'm saying. If it's futuristic 60s, it'll be weird for them to get lost to come back at the same time. I mean, the same universe but different time, and like technology didn't really advance.
I think it's a little bit of both. I think it's a little bit of both. And hear me out. Mm-hmm. I think what they may do, and this is how they get their powers. They're going to go out into space, but they're going to have the Buzz Lightyear effect with the movie. Every time he travels, trying to get to, you know, the time travel to go fast, you know, how he came back. He kept going split in time, and then he comes back. He doesn't age, but everyone else does, right? Like, time didn't pass for everyone else the same way.
It's a relativity effect, which is like...
But in the same fashion, like he's going into space, going to the sun, and coming back to Earth, right? They're going into space, going to catch that thing, and then come back and land, and they find themselves in a different universe altogether. In the sense that,
but after they got their powers, I mean, the way they showed, they already had their powers, and they were in their.
They were in their powers already, yes. But what I'm saying,
they were in their outfits, and they were already known in the '60s as a Fantastic
Bingo,
Four.
But I'm talking about as far as them getting their powers, because we see Ben Grimm before he gets his powers.
Yeah, but then we see him also afterwards.
And then we see him afterwards. But we see him as an astronaut ready to go. So I'm saying they get caught up in space, and then they're coming back to Earth. The waves changed them, but not only that they changed them, it's that they went through a different dimension, came back this way. What they see is not their Earth.
So what you're saying,
but it's still
what
the
you're
60s.
saying is like they went up in the 60s, they went up in the late 50s or early 60s. Mm-hmm. They got whatever happened in space, came back, and they landed in a different 60s.
Bingo. And where it's a futuristic 60s and not those 60s that they remember. So it's a completely different universe altogether.
So
think about it. The time frame of the launch and everything like that falls into place, but everything around them, the settings are not right. Something's weird.
I can play with that because the 60s that they landed in is the futuristic 60s, and then you don't have to think about how did they not know about that futuristic lifestyle today. because like who wouldn't remember futuristic freaking buildings in the '60s if it was like within our lifetime?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So it's they went up in the 616 timeline of 1960 and disappeared.
So you think that then that's why he's trying to build the bridge to get back home?
Yes.
That might be the precursor for them him working on that science.
Yes,
man.
Because if they go out there and they come back and they land and no one knows who they are, but they're famous because they stopped something, an event from happening, they're known as the Fantastic Four and become celebrities through that alone, not being a precursor.
Yeah.
But that's the idea. That's not necessarily written in stone. That's just what I'm guessing.
Yeah, because they come back and then like who these people with like where do you guys come from, right?
Yeah. Ooh.
What I want to see is how they're gonna make Spider-Man and Human Torch best friends. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, I gotta see how that plays out.
I would love to see that.
That would be a nice play.
And the fact that Brand New Day was announced,
Dude,
Brand New Day,
and it's gonna be in between Doomsday and Secret Wars. So I really would love to see.
And there's a redheaded character that's going to be playing a certain character, and it's not going to be what I believe is not going to be the Mary Jane Watson, right? But the other character that plays Jackpot in the Marvel comics. Remember, there's two Jackpots. One is MJ, the other one is the other chick that's also a redhead. Yeah, I forgot her name, but when she was first announced, way back when. But that's going to be cool, and obviously he's going to come back in his red and blue suit, which is going to be dope. We're getting all our comic book accurate or close to accurate suits, which I'm loving. Sarah, yeah.
Ehret. E-H-R-E-T. I don't want to ruin the name, the last name, but Sarah.
Yeah, so that's who I think she's playing, because if they already established an MJ by initials alone, and that's his Mary Jane, and her hair color keeps getting lighter through each film.
Well, there's a couple of them, because there's also Alana Jobson. That became
Jackpot.
Jackpot, yeah.
Yeah, so it's one.
You
of
gotta
those.
say that. I mean, all I know is that there's casting calls, like I said before, for an older man that's serious.
Right,
and,
that's a authority figure.
Yep, Norman Osborn and his son.
Be in their 40s. There's going to be another one that's going to be in the 20s. And then there's two female characters that they're vying for.
And everybody is going nuts because they want Sweeney to play one of those characters.
I want her to be Felicia Hardy.
So the April Fool's joke was that they announced who was going to be Felicia Hardy.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it was Anya Taylor-Joy. They said, and people were like, "No." Some people were saying yes because she's a great actress. Some people were saying no because she doesn't have the tits for it. It's what it is.
She doesn't have the buster.
It's. I said that because it's what they were just commenting about.
Yeah. So I want to see her as Black Cat, looking all seductive, and I want them to actually placate on the fact that she's in love with Spider-Man, not Peter, just like it is in the comics. That's why anytime they did their little hanky panky, it's always with his mask on.
Right. Well, she
liked that.
She liked that.
It's the opposite of Mary Jane, because Mary Jane loved Peter,
and she always knew.
And she didn't know. Well, she didn't always know he was Peter Pan.
Peter Pan.
Peter Parker wasn't always. They didn't always know he was. She was.
Come, MJ. I'm gonna take you to Neverland.
You know what I mean?
Lost Boys, MJ.
Yeah, I'm gonna show you my Lost Boys in a second.
So it was that she didn't always know that he was Spider-Man. That was a lot to say for whatever reason. I don't know why. But like I want to see street level hero stuff. Like I think it's gonna be a street level movie.
Yeah.
They're saying that because the fact that he lost his identity from basically everybody knows who he is. It's like starting from scratch again. It's going to be from the street.
Yeah,
he's going to be the actual friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
Yeah, because everyone is going to know Spider-Man, but they're not going to know Peter. No one knows who Peter is. Right. Yeah. That's the crazy part, which is nice. Because it changes everything. It changes the way they could tell the story.
Brand new day, fresh start.
Yeah, fresh start.
And that's another word for fresh start. You want it's a brand new day, it's a fresh start.
It's a soft reboot, basically.
Which follows the comic book, too. Like, it's aligned with the comic book, too.
Now, where the fuck is Venom?
Mephisto. I mean,
Mephisto.
brand new day, Mephisto. That's it.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh man.
Yeah, where's Venom gonna fit in all this, especially?
Well, I don't think it is because
This is
unless
between.
because Venom, it's
Proper Venom.
well,
Venom,
I mean,
Venom.
it's still. I don't think it's gonna fit because Tom Hardy's not doing it anymore. They killed off Venom. If they do Venom in this movie, it's gonna be just completely Venom himself, and you don't know who his.
I still test as a piece of him out there.
Yeah, me too.
You
That's
don't.
the
You
thing.
don't, you don't
They
know
caught
who,
it. You don't know what they did with
right.
it.
You don't know who he's gonna have a symbiotic bond with, so it's just gonna be like, what is it? Because the only we talked about it a couple of episodes ago. Actually, I talked about it more. Is it's gonna be somehow the Fantastic Four, the Future Foundation, which is they're the one testing the symbiote residue, and it attaches to Peter.
Okay.
So I mean, it's down the line somewhere.
I would love.
But it's just figuring out how they make that jump to him being a street level hero and incorporating the Fantastic Four and the Future Foundation.
I would love for them to bring back Hardy, right, as Brock, right?
Oh, that would be dope.
But make him serious, so he's not. It's
comical.
not. It's not the comical one that they had with the Venom series.
Yeah, give us a Mad Max version.
like he comes back and he's pissed at Peter because something happened. Peter, since now no one knows Peter, maybe he does become the photographer for the Daily Bugle.
But of his universe, because remember he went back.
Yeah.
So
No.
Tom
Eddie.
Hardy's.
Tom. I said Ed Hardy. Why did I say? I
Hardy.
meant Tom Hardy.
Tom Hardy, yeah.
Why did I say Ed Hardy?
We're
Now
all-
I'm
You're thinking Eddie Brock as Tom
Yeah,
Hardy.
yeah.
Right.
It must have confused
Eddie
you.
Brock is Tom Hardy, right? But he went back to the
Ed Hardy's
Sony verse, right?
A name brand T-shirt.
Yeah.
Right.
No, but you're thinking of Tom Hardy
Yeah,
and Eddie Brock.
yeah,
So
yeah.
you put the two together, so don't
Yeah,
worry
that's
about it,
what
you're
I
good.
So
But Tom-
he did go back to his universe. So in that universe, Venom doesn't exist, and they're no longer in a symbiotic, attachment.
But now, if that symbiote,
but in Spidey's universe, which is 616, there might be a version of Brock already there.
and then the whole thing happens. He hates Peter, and that piece finds him, and I feel like him coming back as a serious Venom.
Would be good because it'll be another version of Deadpool and Wolverine where they finally got Hugh Jackman to come in to reprise his role and wear the suit properly.
Yeah,
It'll fall along those lines.
I mean, there's still a little bit of play there because, reminiscent of the actual comic books and the cartoons and so on. Peter Parker is gonna have to make a living. Is he gonna go the photographer route? Is he gonna be with the daily?
He could be.
.com?
Yeah.
Well, see, here's the thing.
Because that's how the comic book played.
Yeah, but also
I think maybe he does. Maybe he's trying to clear Spider-Man's name. Because you know how JJ's gonna be shitting on him all the time, and then he always sends him photos, and that's how he makes his money.
Yeah.
He goes and sends him photos to the website, and he gets paid.
Yeah, the Daily Bugle's a tabloid more so than a newspaper.
Right.
And then something happens with Eddie Brock,
Yeah,
and
or
that piece of Venom finds him, recognizes him,
Yeah.
and knows that he's compatible because remember he retains the memories no matter what,
Right. From the
and then
Omniverse.
realizes, oh, you're different, and whatever. And then when he allows him maybe to eat a head, he goes, oh yeah, I could get used to this, and just
or we forget
the
one.
evilness begins there.
Or we forget one key factor. What storyline that Venom was in that didn't require Eddie Brock?
Lethal Protector.
No, that's Eddie Brock.
That is still
That's still Eddie Brock. The PS4 video game story arc where Norman Osborn needed to cure Harry. So they created the symbiote using alien substance and stuff from the rock in the game and giving him the symbiote, which made him stronger, made him healthier, but it was all over him, basically becoming one with him. And that's how you play in Spider-Man 2. And Harry's Venom, but his Venom looks like Agent Venom. And to save Peter's life, because he was stabbed and losing blood, and he was done for, he gives him the symbiote to save his life. Maybe they could play on that type of connection, because a lot of people thought it was good. Everyone else hated it because, like, we want Eddie. But this universe is completely different because we got Miles.
So that's the thing.
Because remember, Miles is from the Ultimate Universe in the comics and comes to the 616 through the incursions. But in the game, he's in the same spot.
But it'll be interesting to bring a storyline made for a video game into the movie, especially the MCU. But I mean, we had to. What I want to see is Tom get the suit, Holland.
Yeah,
get the black suit.
We want to see Secret Wars play out,
and then have it jump to Eddie Brock.
We got a year and a half to play up to Secret Wars.
Yeah, I just hope Secret Wars plays out.
So that means Tom Holland might not be in Doomsday.
No,
because it's because Brand New Day is in between both movies. Mm-hmm. So that means I feel like they don't know who he is, so he's not going to be in Doomsday.
Yeah, well, so far
he's going to be a street level hero that you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but it'll lead to Secret Wars. Doomsday. I mean, it looks like Brand New Day's going to have to lead to Secret Wars somehow.
Yeah. Well,
it's
if
in between.
If not lead, just connect in the way of someone scooping him up like Doctor Strange. We're like, oh, I need you.
He finally comes out of the dark realm.
Yeah.
But that's the thing, because right now, who knows if they're going to announce any more movies between those two movies?
Because he's only contracted for Spider-4 and for
Secret Wars.
Yeah, but it's just weird that you got Secret Wars going to be a year apart, and then you're going to have just one Marvel movie in between both of those movies. You're only going to have Spider-Man between those two movies, and that's it.
As of right now, they're
that's what I'm saying. There's going to be. I don't know if they're going to announce more, but as it stands right now, it's a year apart, and then you have.
Yeah, well, I think
they're doing CinemaCon now, so all the studios are announcing things.
That and what they did was they jumped ahead. They jumped too far ahead with their timeline. That's why a lot of their movies got pushed back. So, like for instance, Disney said no to the director for John Wick for Blade.
Yes.
How do you say no to that? At
this point, it's not going to be a Blade movie, man.
No, it's not.
Blade is going to be the running joke of the entire cinema universe. Like,
no, that's Iron Fist.
It's going to be.
It was Gambit.
It was Gambit.
Until Deadpool brought him back,
and
now he's going to be in freaking Doomsday.
Yeah, my boys are pissed. The ones that hate him.
The whole Midnight Suns, path that they would have went on.
Which we're hinting at.
They could still do a Midnight Suns and then have everybody there, like the Midnight Suns, and then have them go off into their own stuff. Even if they haven't seen the series.
All you heard was his voice anyway.
Yeah.
But, Black Knight goes to touch the sword, and he goes, I wouldn't do that if I was you or whatever. Are you sure you're going to do that? Whatever he says.
Yeah.
And all you hear is his voice, and that's Blade.
Yeah. And they already canceled Moon Knight 2 season. So they're not going to do nothing with that.
I think they're bringing him into the movies. That's why.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like they're bringing him into the movies. That's why they canceled the
I think what they do is they should make the Blade movie not a single Blade movie and just make it Midnight Suns. Have all these people who would more or less cameo into it, like an Avengers movie. But I know they did the build-up for Avengers. They didn't do so much of a build-up for Thunderbolts.
No.
And then it's basically a group of people who have their own little thing, and they could do their own little thing, but I need this person to come here. Why? I've heard this and this and this, and just throw them in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I mean, they got Thunderbolts because Thunderbolts is basically Suicide Squad.
Yeah,
it's a Marvel version.
It's a Marvel version of Suicide Squad, but it's also supposed to be a Black Ops team of villains, or some villains, some heroes, and have them intermingle doing things that the Avengers would normally do.
I don't think, because this is considered the multiverse saga.
Still.
Right. So
Wars.
I don't think Blade's gonna fit into anything multiversal.
Well, it could play more into the mutants.
That's what I'm
But
getting
now-
at. It's going
now-
to be the next saga, which is
You
the
think
mutant saga.
you think it's gonna be a
Yeah.
mutant saga, or you think it's gonna be like a House of M saga, or maybe
I think more of think of Inhumans with
House
the
of X, I think it's called.
House of X.
Well, House of X.
House of X, it could play where mutants and humans have to separate. They have their own little island and stuff like that. But
I mean, because that's the reason they're bringing all these people in for Doomsday. You got you took for you get Doomsday.
wait,
and
are
then
you thinking House of M?
That's what I said. House of M.
Yeah.
House of M? I'm thinking more House of X.
No, I said both.
Both?
I said
Okay.
House of M or a House of X. I just kept going.
Yeah.
Because, correcting myself. Because you're thinking, you think of that, maybe that'll be the next saga. Because you look at the multiversal. You got Doomsday. It's bringing in the X-Men. They are officially bringing in the X-Men. That's official.
Yeah.
That means Doomsday is the official entrance of
Yeah.
the X-Men,
Yeah.
unless they announce some crazy shit
Yeah.
down the line. They're saying, "Oh, right before Doomsday, we're gonna have an X-Men movie." You're gonna be like, "What?"
Yeah.
But I doubt they'll do that
Because, dude,
unless they show them in
Unless they try to resurrect some of the footage that they used for what was supposed to be the Kang Dynasty, but I don't think they're gonna do that.
nah.
And if they try to shoehorn something in between the two Avengers movies, it's gonna be so out of place.
Mm-hmm.
And they're gonna the mutant saga has to start with Secret Wars.
That's what I'm saying. So you think
Yeah.
they're gonna? That's why I think the official entrance of the X-Men is going to be Doomsday, the way they announced it.
Right.
They'll do Secret Wars, and then you're gonna go into the Age of Mutants.
Yeah.
With the next saga.
Doomsday is going to be very cluttered, and not in a negative way because we're going to love it, but I think it's going to be too cluttered to flesh out the idea of mutants.
Well, it's not going to flesh out the idea of mutants. It's just going to introduce it.
It's introduced.
It's just going to introduce
reintroduce
it.
because they introduced mutants in
Miss Marvel, yeah.
Right.
So
But
they're
it
gonna-
was at the end, like, oh, you got this gene,
Right.
and
Yeah.
then you're like, oh, that's
Right.
the X gene.
Right.
exactly. So now here's
For us that are avid consumers of the source material.
yeah.
We don't need an introduction. We don't need the backstory.
No, but the newbies.
But the average public, they'll be like, oh, I mean, who's this guy with the freaking whatever costume they're gonna use?
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, we don't get it. What's this guy's name? You have to introduce a character. You have to have to introduce the power set. You have to introduce the interplay between the characters.
Mm-hmm.
And an already stacked movie of 30 plus characters in a 3-hour movie, it's gonna be difficult. I think it's just gonna be it's probably gonna be a whole lot of cameos,
Oh yeah, it's going to be cameo heavy.
and then just to tease at something to build up to really play out in Secret Wars, or to go beyond Secret Wars.
See, it's
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm saying that that's not going to be their official introduction.
it's going to
not
be
gonna-
mutants.
It's not going to be like crazy deep, but it's an official introduction. Like, oh look, this guy shoots lasers. It's Cyclops. Or and this guy controls. I am the master of metal.
Yeah.
of magnetism.
See,
excuse me.
here's the thing.
Magneto.
When it comes down to it,
The master
the next
of metal is David Hetfield.
Yeah,
okay,
sorry.
Metallica.
That's my fault. That's why I said I meant the master of magnetism.
the master of magnetism, which is basically the manipulation of metal.
Hetfield.
So,
So can he manipulate him?
yeah, pretty much. He can manipulate the strings.
Because Dave Hetfield is still the puppet master.
So hear me out. Hear me out.
Master.
Here's where they could still introduce Blade and do the X-Men stuff, and it leads more into vampires, making it a gene, and the gene source will be led to believe it to be between Apocalypse and Dracula.
Of course, Buck was original.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the first mutant, technically the first mutant.
Right.
So
And Blade's ability is a mutation, but it's a genetic mutation. It's a natural. Okay, I'm not.
it can't be recreated. It's basically like a whole
It's
Messiah complex kind of things for vampires.
technically it's a genetic mutation, not in the sense of the X-Men, but it's because of what happened to his mother when he was doing.
Yeah, but
It was, he was basically GMO'd into
Right.
into being a daywalker.
Yeah.
So he does
none of the
quote-
weaknesses
he does
except for the
quote
thirst.
right. He does quote have a mutation, but
yeah.
it's
So
whatever.
my thing is this: is that
It's not the X gene.
Right.
It's not the
whole
X
mutant
gene.
thing. It's based on the X gene mutation.
yeah, but with that having vampirism as a mutation of sorts, like a rogue X gene of some sort, and putting that into the mix, because a few years back you had X-Men versus Dracula and the vampires and stuff. Freaking Jubilee becomes a vampire, Wolverine becomes a vampire, and it
So
becomes this
weird
whole
appealing
thing.
factor for him to become a
Yeah,
vampire.
exactly. So it's like, but he wasn't there for long. You know what I mean? It was more of, I make you a vampire, I'm going to manipulate you. Because, believe it or not, Wolverine is the most manipulated superhero in fucking comics.
right.
So,
No, well, one of my favorite characters, throwback. Not a lot of people talk about him. He was in the
Throwback,
animated
right?
series, Mr. Sinister. Because Mr. Sinister is basically genetic manipulation
He's a-
on himself.
bingo.
Yeah, he did.
Bingo.
He did it on himself.
He created the mutation on himself, and he's always trying to improve
Improve.
himself versus anything else.
Right.
Now, that's
Damn it, man. Bruce Campbell
Yeah.
lost his bid to be because he's too old now. I
Yeah.
mean, unless Sinister is heavily CGI'd and it's Bruce Campbell's voice.
Yeah.
But I'll say this though, when they go into it,
He was the pizza papa.
it's going to be something very different. They're going to have to be take some creative liberties, but also try to ground it as grounded as possible when it comes to the vampirism and stuff. Because
it's Morbin time.
it's Morbin time, bro. But
Bring Morbius to the MCU and do it right.
Oh.
I honestly don't think the movie was that bad. As bad
it
as
wasn't
people were- I don't
bad.
think
It's
it was
just
that bad.
it's like if you put that on its own as a vampire movie, it was a good movie.
It was kitsch. It was like it was played up. It was like, the one-liners is like, Morbius is also one of my favorite characters, but
I mean, because the flight with the purple, the way he did with the purple with when he teleports,
Yeah.
that was done good. I think
Yeah.
that was done good. I was like,
Yeah.
that's exactly how he is. That purple,
Yeah,
the purple streak.
the mist.
Yeah, the purple mist. I thought that was dope.
Yeah, that was dope.
And then they had to throw Venom because they had to let you know that it was in the same time, at the same universe as Venom,
Yeah, but
which was a corny line.
Yeah.
But I get it, but I don't think it was as bad as people say it is. I watched it and I was like, it wasn't as bad. I mean, it was in. I'm sorry,
it wasn't
that
Madam Web. It wasn't Madam Web.
I would give Morbius an Oscar if it went up against Madam Web.
Oh fuck yeah! Oh fuck yeah! But with that being
Madam Web
said,
was sold completely wrong.
because we went to Cosmic, into multiverse, and now
we're going into mutants.
now we're going to go into mutants.
Has to.
So that's the only other direction to go to.
mutation.
Well, they already announced it that it's going to be the mutant saga, but it's like how are they going to lay the groundwork? I mean,
They announced it.
Yeah, we
The
already.
next saga.
Yeah, it's mutant saga.
Really? Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't know it was announced. It.
So basically, the way they have to do it is do it kind of like what they did with the Eternals, kind of bring the Eternals back full circle, right? In the sense of the genome, the splicing of the genome, because you had the deviants and then you had the others, and the others was like the Greeks and gods type of perfect angels, whatever you want to
Yeah.
call them, and
Which Thanos was a
a deviant.
deviant.
Yeah, which leads to everyone else, humans, intermingling with everyone else, and then the deviants were the genes that led to mutations that we got the X-Men, the X genes. But the deviants having a deviant gene on top of that leads them to more into their darker nature. That's vampirism. I think that would be dope. I honestly think that would be dope.
I mean, 'cause I remember having Morbius #1 back in the '90s, and it led into Midnight Suns,
Yeah.
and it had to do with demons, Lilith, and all these demons and stuff. So, I mean, all that does exist. You can always talk about the dark realm and that's where they came from,
Yeah.
whatever.
Well,
And you can always do it that way.
quick sidebar. I'm enjoying this cigar. This cigar is nice. Nice spice. Nice pull.
You got the spiciness, huh? That's right.
Yo, I like spicy cigars. Spicy cigars is like my thing now.
Mine's it really I don't want to sound weird, but it's like creamy.
Yo, Keith, I know. He got a dirty joke in there somewhere.
No homo.
Cock meat sandwich everywhere, whatnot.
It is. It's like.
But yeah. But see, I like the coffee ones a lot. That was like my go-to, the chocolate and the coffees. But the spicy ones is my new go-to. I'm liking the spicy cigars.
Keith got the one with the notes of coffee in it. Yep.
Yeah, how you like that one, Keith? Give us a quick synopsis on it.
Pretty good. You know, the way they did this one it's torpedo, but I think what they call the figurito, classical shape, which is like kind of like a club, like it's fatter at one end.
Bam Bam's Club from Flintstones.
It's like Captain Caveman's Club, you know.
Captain Caveman.
So if it really funnels the flavor in to the second and third draw, right? So it's pretty good.
Yeah, this is good. I really like this. This was a nice take. And the one you got, Potato Joe.
Yeah, I just told you. It's like I said. I could. It's like the I don't know why it is. The way the draw is like smooth. It's creamy smooth. I guess you could say it. It's really good. It's a medium, so it's not strong.
Is it like an egg cream or a milkshake?
Give me a second. Let me puff one more time. Hold on.
Yeah, he need to get a couple of drags in.
Is it like,
He had to pull back a little bit.
It's like a thick milkshake.
is it like that clam chowder?
Clam chowder creamy.
I want a clam chowder, man.
Shit. Yeah, man. But dude, we're not gonna be starved of Marvel material. We're gonna have plenty of it. DC though.
Yeah, I was gonna say let's just focus DC now,
dude.
Because Superman's also coming out. We gotta go see Superman.
Dude, I heard we're gonna definitely see Superman together. But I'm telling you right now, there was a group of people who went and saw the film. I think it was an hour and 30 minutes, and this is supposed to be a 2-hour film, right? It's an unfinished cut of the film, and of Superman.
Yeah.
They've all been vetted and all that other stuff.
Right, all the influences. Like, what's his name? Straw Hat Goofy.
Yeah, pretty much. And basically, from what they saw,
they say it has heart, it has feeling.
Yes, and one person in the audience said, "Oh, Fantastic Four is fucked." Like when you have somebody making a statement like that, that's a comic book head. That's like, yeah, they're anticipating Fantastic Four, and then they said, "Oh no, Fantastic Four is fucked."
Because it's supposed to release in July, July 11th, and let's say Fantastic Four is supposed to release.
No, Fantastic Four is July 11th, isn't it?
So it's gonna be direct head to head.
Head to head, exactly. That's why they're saying they're fucked. So you know what kind of day is that, right, guys?
That's a double header.
That's a double header for us.
It's supposed to be released the 25th. So weeks, but still, it's like
it's within 2 weeks. So we're gonna be consumed with a lot of material for that month.
11th and 25th. Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah. So, dude, I'm liking the suit. I saw some of the updates to the suit for Superman.
Superman.
Yeah.
See, and people were bagging on the suit, like, okay, so the guy's build, like physique, and the suit people were bagging on because I think we've been a little spoiled,
conditioned
and spoiled with Cavill.
I think the newer generation has been conditioned and spoiled with Cavill.
Right.
Because remember, we had
Reeves. His suit wrinkled up every now and then.
Reeves, right, people were like, "Oh, he's not built that great."
Yeah,
and
no.
Reeves worked out.
Reeves.
He's a natural bodybuilder.
Christopher Reeve, because I actually confused myself and I had to look it up the other day. George Reeves.
Yeah, and the Christopher Reeve. Yeah.
And Christopher Reeve. They're not related.
But when I said Reeves Superman, I mean his Superman.
His Superman, right. He put on 50 pounds of muscle, right? Like he worked out, and for his frame, because he was so tall, it didn't look as if. But I mean,
that was the build back then.
That was the build. It was the late 70s build,
and nobody was like
he worked
really
out with
obese.
David Prowse, which was the in suit actor for Darth Vader.
Yeah,
they trained together, so it's like, you got that. It's almost like a gymnast build. Like
he has a pure athlete's build that,
right.
like, I'm gonna go and hit the bars, but I'm not taking no juice for it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. He's a natural bodybuilder. You know what I mean? Sculpting himself.
What makes me laugh is that people think you have to have the 6-pack and the huge muscles and everything because look at Mr. Universe. Look how much I go. When they do those Mr. Universe contests, they're at their weakest. They dehydrate themselves to better. I go because if you want strong man's body for Superman, then you're looking at
fat.
Yeah, you're looking at like
you're looking like you're like a world's strongest man. You're looking like Eddie Hall and
these guys have fat.
Mark Henry
was the world's strongest.
Brian Shaw.
Dude, these guys.
He's not that size because they're gargantuan people, but
they're
not.
I bet you're seeing Superman that way. Just
like Absolute Batman. Like Absolute Batman in the comics.
Clark Kent is 7 foot tall and
485 pounds
and built like a freaking refrigerator.
Yeah.
No one suspects anything.
No one suspects nothing.
No one suspects nothing. He's built like Bane and walks around in a cape.
Imagine the guy that big being clumsy. Oh, whoops.
Knocked over the water cooler.
These giant hands. Knocked over the water cooler. Knocked over the fridge by mistake. Whoops.
But,
dust just flew out the window.
But back to what you said, it's like with the Superman suit, the new Superman suit.
Yeah.
And, they both actors went to Juilliard, right? They're Juilliard trained actors, so he's gonna have nuance to him. He's gonna have range. He's gonna be able to show like some, more than what would be the average superhero.
He's gonna give us what we've been waiting for, and that is a person who knows how to play Clark and Superman,
right? Because it's the mannerisms, right? David Corenswet, and something that Frank Gallo talked about in the movie, in a few interviews, is that he
no Callow with a C.
Callow.
Sorry, I was gonna do it.
The two youths.
Gallow. Gallo's dead. Gallo's dead.
Callow.
The youths. Excuse me. The youths.
The youths, Your Honor. Excuse me. Your Honor. I'm sorry, I had to.
Right, no, I mean, I'm totally with it. But he talked about, and I'm not going to play the audio because of copyright, but in essence, he talked about, he knew the character, he knew he was getting to, but when he walked on set and saw him, he believed he was Superman. Like, you get a cast list together and so on. He looks the part. He looks the part. I don't care what anyone else says. The suit is an homage to the original.
And Kingdom Come with the logo.
And Kingdom Come.
Which I love the logo.
Yeah, the logo, yeah.
It's...
I just like the fact they incorporated the original, like the Christopher Reeve Superman song in there.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Which is nice.
That's why... that's what gave me chills when I watched the trailer, the teaser trailer. Yeah,
dude, I'm telling you right now, I'm really, really hyped up for this film because we're gonna have so many people that's going to be. It's like this is the way DC is teasing how this film is going to be, and the people that we know that's going to be in this film as far as superheroes goes. I think that's how they're going to do Secret Wars, just bringing everybody in. No backstories necessary. You know what I mean? You're going to see them play out their character, and you're like, oh, that motherfucker got powers, this guy got powers. Okay, and then they have a movie, I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm a mutant. Oh, okay. Quick, oh, yeah, that's this, the X-Men, blah, 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 blah. Going back to that. So I think that's going to be the formula now, because they tried to do the Marvel formula, and it failed for them. It's because they were too far out. They had older actors, and they couldn't do a 12-year plan. Mm-hmm. They couldn't do a 12-year plan.
Justice League felt so rushed and impersonal, I guess you gotta say, because
Exactly.
you didn't get the connections with that. They hated each other, and all of a sudden they worked together, and you're like,
Right.
where's that build up?
Well, it was impersonal. It was because
They had no build up.
They had no build-up. Exactly.
It was the Snyder cut like helped.
It did help.
Oh,
Right?
hell
Because
yeah, it helped.
it was shot. It was the screenplay. It was designed to be an epic. It was because all of the Snyder's stuff was like visually perfect.
Yeah, visually
Like,
attractive.
It was designed. It was art. It was an artist view of what this should be.
Yeah.
Right. And which is it's fine. And what you touched on and what I thought of just now is that the dilemma of introducing the character, building the relationship, so on. I think now the way to go with both DC and Marvel is to give glimpses of people or characters to build, the waiting for the next glimpse of it in another movie is where you're gonna get that build up.
Well, that's the thing. Marvel was doing that for a long time with the
For the first phase.
for first phase, but it was a lot of teasing. This is coming.
Yeah.
Wait for it.
Yeah.
Like Thor's hammer. Wait for it.
Right.
The freaking
The Guardians
Guardians
of the Galaxy.
You know what I
yeah.
mean? Like wait for it.
Yeah,
You know,
'cause
all
I
that
don't,
stuff.
I don't think they're all with all these multi-generational, multi-cast movies. They're not gonna. It's not gonna be self enclosed.
It's not self-contained. No,
It's
no.
not self-contained. They're gonna give you a taste. They're gonna.
They have to make it organic.
They're gonna have to tease at a couple of things and make you wait for the next one and make you excited for the next property and the next movie or TV show or whatever.
See, a lot of the things that filmmakers do, they want to introduce a character to newbies, right? But they also want to stay faithful to the source material for veterans that are the geeks, the nerds, the people who are well versed into this realm of fiction. It's like basically for the Superman stuff is like it's Superman's story. It's Superman's story with all these other characters in it, just like Avengers Doomsday is the Avengers involved with Doctor Doom, and it's a Doctor Doom being the main course while everything else is playing to that.
Yeah, they're gonna build or play out Doom's existence in the movie because we already know who everybody else is.
Yeah, exactly. Now,
I mean,
I heard this. There's a kaiju fight.
but with Doctor Doom, real quick before you go into that, with Doctor Doom, you talked how they're going to introduce some stuff. They're already implanting stuff. Look at Daredevil.
Oh yeah.
Spoilers if you haven't seen it, but I mean it's not a big spoiler anyway. They mention Latvia. So that's so they're already implanting it in other sources.
Okay, listen. This is something that I talked about probably a couple episodes ago, and it's burning a hole in my brain. We talked about it on the show.
Yeah.
In Endgame, when Tony goes back to the 70s to get the Tesseract,
When he meets his father.
when
and
he
all that.
meets his father, it's been burning a hole in my brain. How his reaction to him saying that his wife was pregnant, and Tony Stark having kind of like a shocked, confused look on his face, is really driving my brain into a freaking tailspin, because how do you not know or not remember when you were born?
Yeah,
It's not knowing when you were born. It's
Well,
more
yeah,
of conception.
right.
Because the thing is this,
But
he's
enough.
not focused on his conception.
Right.
He's focused on getting the stones.
Right.
And coming that. And he's like, oh, this is... He could legitimately fuck up the timeline and fuck up his own reality and not be in existence, which creates the split again.
Yeah.
Because that's why the TVA didn't get involved, because they did everything they were supposed to
right.
do and put everything back the way it was.
supposed to happen.
This is why Loki came out, and they were going to prove him because that was one of the mistakes they made, but they tried to fix, everything else. Yeah. So the TVA was like, okay, they were doing the right thing. He escaped, but we're going to prune him out because he's not going to exist anymore.
He's going to prune him out later. Right?
It was the way it's supposed to go. That's why they
right.
But from what I read, I read some things. Funny enough, I looked when you mentioned it a couple episodes ago, and I looked into it. A lot of people were saying it was because he didn't think his father was that caring.
That is what it was.
Because he always thought his father was cold, and it was like, oh, he was always into his stuff. Yeah, and with him, he
wasn't mentoring.
And for him to be like, oh, I'm nervous, and I have flowers for my wife, and he was like, oh shit, my dad really did care.
Yeah, he cares. He cares to the point where he did what he had to do, knowing the shit that he knows. But remember, Tony's a father at that point,
right? But he also figured that out at the end, in the middle of Iron Man 2 when he was going over the notes and saw the video where he says, you will always be my greatest creation.
Yeah. Exactly.
Right. So he got that sentiment there. It's really bugging me that the way he reacted.
But saying it in person might be a different.
That's
reaction.
This is one thing. That's a message. That's a message from the past, right? Saying that, to my son, you are my greatest creation, right? If you ever see this, but remember, he didn't get that growing up, so that one message conflicting with years of what's going on, plus his father being taken away by Winter Soldier, with mom, he's already in that zone already. He can't break that. You know what I mean? So him being a father and having to do what he has to do to bring back and change everything what it was, because he failed and he didn't want to fail, but as a father, the sacrifice that he saw his father do, he has to do himself. So, and this is for the snap.
So I'm going to throw another wrench in the works because I just like to stir it up. Den of Geeks, and a couple of other like Screen Crush and a couple other YouTube channels. They kind of did a synopsis. There's thoughts, there's rumors of them saying that Tony was adopted, and that he was
Arnold Stark.
Well, I talked about Arnold Stark back in the day too.
Get in the chopper,
right? In the chopper. And he wasn't a chopper.
It's not the tumor.
And he wasn't a chopper.
It's my adopted brother.
But that he was adopted and he's been doomed the entire time.
That could be another play factor in it, but I don't think it will go that deep because then they will have to bring back those particular actors to explain how.
Well, no, because they would not. Well, I mean, they can always do a flashback, whatever. But
yeah, but they still have to bring the actors to play it out.
Yeah. True. AI, but that's like it's weighing on my head. Whether it's a rumor, whether it plays out, that maybe that interchange of like the mother really being caring and supportive, and Howard Stark, the father, being distant, is because it wasn't really his son and he was adopted.
So what? The message wasn't for him. When he sees the message,
but
it's about discovering the new element that saved his life.
Yeah, see, I don't think it's that deep. I think that's a red herring.
Yeah,
I think that's a red herring. Reason being because we have not with all the things that was going on with Tony and him being Iron Man and the whole other stuff. Remember he was the first superhero to come out and say, "Yeah, I am Iron Man. I am this person," but with that being said, you have to wonder, within those 10 years, why wouldn't they mention it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? With those 10 plus years.
Listen, if we're going to put down bets, I'm willing to put a $20 bet in. Whether I win or lose, it doesn't matter. I would love to see them reference Arnold Stark. I like, there has to be something, like, I don't know if they have the rights to the character or something, but somehow, and the Russo brothers says that Endgame ties in to the development of Doomsday somehow. I don't know
they
how
said that. I'm saying they said that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right. That's
because the whole, whole thing, new mask, same task.
Hold up, epiphany. All right, I'm gonna go with what you're saying. Mm-hmm. What if Tony was a twin? and he wasn't adopted, but he was a twin. And because of losing one child, and it being something that Howard Stark had to go through, and it was his fault and stuff like that, maybe he had a bit of a regret, a little remorse on his part. He just kept himself busy because he wasn't, that much better of a caretaker than the wife was. And maybe that was why he's like, I'm going to stay working, let mom do the thing. Make sure you do this and that. Don't be stupid because I did something stupid and that led to you being a single child.
Or what he thinks was a single child.
Yeah. Or that too,
Or maybe it was like a Parent Trap thing, They were separated at birth.
Separate at birth.
Doomsday turns out to be just Parent Trap for Marvel.
Mm-hmm. Shit.
Mom and dad are dead.
Yeah, well, whatever it is. It's if the Russo brothers are involved, and they always said that, they need to have the story. They need to have the story, and they need to have the character to make it right. And that RDJ wanted to do it from the beginning, but they didn't have a story where it was going to be right. There's obviously something missing. It's gonna develop.
There has to be a reason why they brought RDJ back as Doctor Doom.
Doctor Doom, yeah.
Because they could have picked other people that could have fit the role. It didn't have to be just him. And
it could have been Cillian Murphy. Cillian Murphy would have been a great Doom. Because if you're talking about the quality of actor, you could have found a different quality actor. Now, not necessarily better, but a similar quality actor.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the multiverse saga. It's the variant. It's the So to have RDJ, it's gonna be jarring with the what we've said before. Thor's gonna recognize RDJ.
That's if he takes off his mask.
Right. Well, he's not gonna be in the mask. I mean,
I don't know. I feel like new mask, different task.
Right. New mask.
Different mask, new task. Same task.
New mask, same task.
So the same task sounds like
the suit of armor around the world.
It's like Doom is gonna try to do that or something like that, or it's just
basically solving everybody's problems. Oh, Hulk is the only being like that, and you got She-Hulk. Oh, she's like that too, and they both have the same issues. Why not have a planet or a piece of land that's nothing but Hulks, where they could congregate and move around with each other? The mutants have their own thing.
The new mask, same task.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be the interplay, the realization, the shock of seeing someone that you physically recognize
as a hero turn into a villain,
as someone completely different, and that they recognize him. They don't know. He doesn't know who they are. Well, he'll know who.
Basically, a Gamora situation.
Yeah. Well, yeah. It's a different person, completely different person.
Yeah. Or it could, like I said, it could be the same person, just a different universe kind of deal.
Yeah.
Where what we discussed last episode was where he succeeded in that suit of armor on the world instead of creating Ultron and Vision and all, and this is him. But I mean,
it's gonna be cool to see how it plays out, man.
Look,
but
you know what would be dope too is how you said the next saga is gonna be mutant.
Mm-hmm.
Would love to see maybe Magneto survive somehow, and let's say something happens in Battle World, breaks into pieces, and Magneto ends up on a piece that orbits the Earth.
Mm-hmm.
You got Asteroid M.
Yeah, you have Asteroid M. Yeah.
And that would be interesting to see Magneto on Asteroid M and bringing in the mutant saga.
Yeah, but I think they're not going to do the Asteroid M part. It will be more feasible to do Krakoa.
Yeah.
And take that kind of concept of the crater, the asteroid, and make it more of the land of M versus the asteroid of M. I'm just saying because
I agree. I understand what you're saying.
Because it saves them on space for space travel, right? That whole exploration of going up in the sky, stuff like that.
Krakoa
is a living island.
It's something special.
It's a living island, and then it ties into a lot of stuff, and then
it has clone technology.
Well, no, they have the 5 chosen ones that create the cloning process. Yeah, and with Cerebro, dude, that whole House of X,
that's gonna be a whole talk for a whole different day.
Yeah, and the Deaths of Wolverine, that shit is crazy, bro. Like that writing on there was fucking phenomenal. Dark Beast is a fucking madman. Arguably, I think Dark Beast is worse than Mr. Sinister. But yeah, with that, this is another episode of your favorite Cigars and Ash podcast. I'm your host, Loco Lou.
Keith Adventures.
And Joe.
Potato Joe, damn it.
Hey, put in the comments or in the Instagram or DM us what I should change, if I should change my Instagram. Give me a new name.
Keith McKeeface. Keefy McKeeface. That's gonna be his Instagram.
Yeah. So with that, we are signing out, and we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.